Ow, ow, ow. What's up? I'm Wolf Will, and this is my documentation of climbing the hill of life. And today, I want to get into talking about how happy I am to just be out here doing this again. I know it's probably been 2.5, almost 3 weeks since I've made a video, and I know I said in my first video that I would try to do this every week, and the truth is that, like, I did my second video 1 week after the first video, and I felt like I was just trying to force it. And so I figure, I will just make these videos as often as I have interesting things to talk about, and when I also have time to talk about them, right? So like I said, I haven't made a video in a few weeks, so definitely have some things to talk about. Starting with, first off, let's go ahead and get the uhs out of the way, right? Let's start with the song. That I feel like that really helped me last time, and I feel like, I also got good feedback from people. People thought that was just hilarious, which I was like, oh, cool. That's what I was kind of hoping for, was some comedic relief. I'm probably gonna throw a few uhs out here and there anyway, but it's okay. We're out here doing our best, right? That's what's important, is that we just try and do our best. Speaking of doing our best, I want to touch back on one of the things that I said in my first video about content consumption. Right, I talked about overindulging or indulging in content and not really doing enough, doing so much of my own stuff, right? I talked about wanting to create more of my own content, consume less content, right? Let's be real, I am producing more content now, but I'm totally still consuming lots of content. And what I want to talk about is being more specific about that. Like, what do I mean by content? And for me, I have made a point to always try and consume content that was beneficial to me for the most part. Don't get me wrong, I've watched my fair share of funny videos or just epic like movement videos and entertainment and things of that nature, but I've definitely made a point to try and watch a lot of things that are going to educate me. They're going to enlighten me. They're going to expand my understanding and awareness, right? We all want to, like, grow and get better. I'm just gonna go down this little trail over here real quick. I just saw a little side trail off of the main trail, and there's a creek over here, and it looks nice. It's beautiful out here. It's a beautiful day. Not a cloud in the sky. Got greens everywhere. Almost lost it there. It's a good thing I'm so ninja, because otherwise I would wreck myself because of how clumsy I am. This is beautiful. I'll give y'all just a view of what I'm looking at real quick. We got this nice babbling brook. Nice little creek. You know what's crazy is I'm in Round Rock, right? I am, in the city. I'm just walking around a trail next to a park, and there's all this beautiful nature. All this beautiful stuff all this beautiful like nature, I guess terrain, what have you, to walk through. Oh, that was straight up barbed wire that I tripped over earlier. But yeah, getting back to what I was talking about, content consumption, right? So for me personally, I watch a lot of self-development type videos talking about how you can adjust your morning routines, nighttime routines, how to work out better, how to eat better, all in our attempts to be better, right? And I think that we can kind of hear people say that overconsumption of content is bad for you, right? But I think that there's a big difference between consuming content that isn't really helping you and content that is. Let's just say it's positive and negative, right? Positive content is going to be that, self-development type stuff, motivational videos, educational videos, informational, right? It's all structuring, all trying in attempts to like help you structure your life better, and it's providing value. That's the big thing. We want to find those videos that are going to provide some sort of value to our lives. There are dragonflies everywhere. It's very much so springtime. It's beautiful out here. And then what I would consider to be more negative content is what one might say is like kind of chaotic. People doing crazy random stuff, things that aren't necessarily like providing any kind of value. They're just funny, or they're fun to watch. And what they do is they give you a little bit of dopamine, right? And the problem is that they kind of breadcrumb you, right? Like when you get on, say, TikTok or Instagram or Facebook Reels or whatever, you just get caught up in getting a little bit of dopamine from one video, and then you move on. You get a little bit of dopamine from the next video, and you move on. So you keep scrolling and scrolling and scrolling, getting little hits of dopamine, and then all of a sudden, it's been a couple hours, and you've been doom scrolling, and you haven't accomplished anything. You've just been looking at a bunch of videos, and you aren't going to be able to, you're not going to be able to remember anything from any of those videos, right? You aren't retaining anything there, mostly because there wasn't anything of value to be retained, right? So what's the point? What is this? I gotta show you all this. I don't know what this even is, but it's a big old, like, couple of towers all on the sides of these trucks. Maybe it used to be a bridge, or the base of a bridge, because it looks like there's another one over there that's like covered in greenery. That's interesting. Huh. Alright, moving on. Look at this just bag over. Ugh. So as I was saying, social media will get you like that, right? All these social media platforms, they will suck you in and continue to feed you little bits of breadcrumbs of entertainment. Nothing very sustaining, like legitimately sustaining, right? I mean, bread's not even that good for you, so it's like literally breadcrumbs, and it'll make you waste your life away. And the reason that it works like that is because the longer you stay on those platforms, the more money that they make, right? And so they tailor it to, that's why they have all the algorithms. They try and put out videos to you that they think that you like, so that you will stay on the platform and continue to consume that content. And then they get to put out little advertisements, little sponsors here and there that pay them to be on there, right? And so the more eyes that see those sponsors, see those advertisements, the more money that they make. Also, the more data that they're gonna get from you as well. So for me, I have TikTok, I have Facebook, I have Instagram, I have all those things, but I tailor them to show me things that are good for me, right? And so you can adjust your social media. You can make it to where the algorithm understands, like, I don't care about watching some stupid trendy dancing movie or dancing video. As cute as puppies and kittens and funny animals, all that are, I don't really care about watching that, you know. Whew, shoulders are sore. I did a killer shoulder workout the other day. I'm feeling it. And all the provocative things that you can see on these platforms as well. So you don't care about none of that, right? And so whenever TikTok is like a very, very smart social platform. It's very interesting. And I actually had the pleasure of having a client who works for TikTok, and so they kind of have a deeper understanding than most. And so for me, what I've realized is that if I start to see something that is not what I want to pop up on my TikTok, you got to scroll past it immediately, right? The reason I say that is because the longer you stay on a certain kind of video, I'll just say, whew. The longer you stay on a certain kind of video, the more that TikTok thinks that you're gonna like that kind of video, and so the more that they're gonna continue to put that up to you. Is like I said, TikTok is a very smart social media platform, right? And so for me, I will very much so intentionally skip past videos I don't want to see, and then if I happen upon something that falls along the lines of what I'm looking for in my content, then I'll watch all the way through, right? For one, I'm gonna learn something, which is cool. For two, I want TikTok to know it's like, these are the kind of videos I like. Keep sending me these, right? And I think most people understand that to some degree, but I don't think that people are conscious about what they want to come up on their TikTok. And maybe they are. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe most people just aren't as, I guess hell-bent on like improving themselves, right? And it's unfortunate, right? We live in a world where most people, my age and younger, and maybe some people that are a little older than me, so many people are like very complacent. They're happy to sit on a couch all day, watch TikTok, eat a bunch of junk food, and do the bare minimum to contribute to society. And it's all due to like a very negative concept or negative perspective on the reality. Like, so many people think that they can't get ahead in life. Like, it blows my mind how many people my age who live in a house, have a car, eat food every day, have a job, can consider themselves to be oppressed. It is so sad. It is like, it's actually kind of infuriating, right? Because there are people out there who are legitimately oppressed, and they don't get to decide where they live. They don't necessarily have a place to live. They don't necessarily have food on hand all the time. And they may be living in a straight up war zone. There might be revolutions going on. All kinds of crazy stuff. And they would give anything to be in the position that you're in. You talk about being oppressed. You live in a land of opportunity, right? And some of what I'm talking about might be pretty controversial, but that's okay. I'm pretty firm in my beliefs that we are very fortunate, and I also believe that if we don't, for censor purposes, if we don't pull our heads out of our butts, we're going to like lose a lot of the freedoms and opportunities that we have in this country. There's a saying, it goes that weak men create hard times, right? And hard times create strong men create good times, and good times create weak men. And here in America, we've had lots of good times, and therefore we have lots of weak men. And the weakness of all these men is literally leading to the collapse of our society as we know it. And we are heading into hard times. And it's very unfortunate that we can't just pull ourselves out of this place of being complacent and just more or less not have to go through the cycle. It's like, why do we have to go through the cycle? Why can't we see that history repeats itself, right? That cycle that I just talked about, that's been going on forever and ever and ever. And I feel like more people are aware of it now than ever. And so it doesn't really make sense. But I'm going down a rabbit hole. Point is, try and tailor your social medias to provide information to you, provide education, provide motivation, inspiration, all these things that are going to make you a better person, right? If that's what you want, if you want to be a better person. I like to think that all of us kind of want to be a better person, as long as we just don't get lost in this idea of being oppressed. I understand why the lack of inspiration to develop oneself comes when you are in this state of belief that you are oppressed, right? When you feel like you're oppressed, it's literally like you feel like you're being pressed down, like you can't get up, right? And that's just not the case. We need to seriously adjust our belief systems. And it starts with just trying to better yourself. It really does. And if you can get it on a base level of that's my MO, that's my mode of operation, is I'm trying to improve myself, it'll make a world of difference for you, right? So say for instance, you hear sometimes like gurus or what have you talking about how you need to get off the motivational video and go do stuff, right? And to some degree, they're not wrong, right? You're not accomplishing anything per se by watching a motivational video, but watching a motivational, educational video is way better for you than watching this garbage media, this garbage content, right? And so it's the idea that you know, you may not be running very fast, but you're lapping the guy sitting on the couch, right? And so for me, I know that there's been many a times where I was watching some you know, informational, motivational video, and a part of me felt like, you know, ashamed of myself, because it's like I'm watching this stuff and I'm not doing anything about it, right? But that's the point, you know? It's like you watch that stuff and you kind of get a little bit ashamed of yourself for not doing the things to better yourself. So you keep pushing that stuff at yourself, and it eventually is gonna light a fire under your butt and get you up and get you out, get you to start doing the things that are gonna make a difference in your life. And so yeah, make a point to consume content that's gonna be good for you, right? Moving on. I kind of got way off on a tangent on that content subject topic, if you will. I accidentally hit a button and while I was moving my sandbag over and stopped my recording, but we're back on. So if you see a little I guess clip, it's not because I'm editing my video, it's more just I accidentally hit a button, and and we're back. And like I was saying, moving on, I want to talk a little bit about, I guess, my life. You know, I have been very fortunate that the company that I'm working with, the Jungle Movement Academy, we are fulfilling a dream that we've been talking about for years, right? So the building that our company is in, it has two sides, right? It's a big warehouse, right, that was separated into two halves so it could be leased out to two different companies. And since we got there was always this joke, this idea of like, we should just bust the wall down and take over the other side, right? And you know, it's kind of one of those things. It's like, you know, you talk about it, you manifest that kind of stuff, and the people that were in that side of the building, they actually moved out, and so we did take over the other side. Fortunately, we didn't have to, you know, bust through and actually take over. There was no violent operations, by no means, but it was all legal. But we are into that other side of the building now, and it's super cool because I am in the fortunate position of being a project manager for the structures that we're building. We're building these huge walls. It's a big structure that is surrounding trampolines, right? And so these walls allow you to jump off the wall into the trampoline. These are super trampolines, and so they are very, very bouncy. And I should put some pictures of what that looks like. And it's been awesome, you know, getting to lead this project. You know, I feel like all my years of experience of building have kind of led to this. You know, I've never built anything on this scale. And when I say I mean we. You know, we have an amazing team at the Jungle, right? A lot of people who are just multifaceted, multi-skilled. Let's see if I can keep this rolling without starting it over. There we go. We're still recording, good. But like I was saying, we have a lot of people that are multi-talented, right? You know, all of us, our major thing is we are ninjas, right? We do cool ninja skills, flips and tricks and parkour and American Ninja Warrior, all that kind of stuff. But then there's several of us, you know, a good sized group of us that all have building skills as well, right? whether it's carpentry or welding or I mean the owners, one of the owners, Josh Grant, he actually has a engineering degree, so he has a lot of understanding of how things are built, which is super helpful. He's taught me a lot about building, but it's been super cool to take on this project. As I was saying, never built anything of this scale, and it was a little daunting at first, actually, because it's like, I've never done this, I don't know how to do this. And so straight up, I just googled housing framing, right, and looked at a bunch of pictures of how housing framing is done, and from that was able to actually design the whole structure, like the framing of all the structure. Looks like I'm getting near the end of the trail, so I'm gonna go ahead and turn around, go back the way I came. And you know, that for me was, it's all been a big test, honestly. So like I was saying, I didn't know how to do it, so I became resourceful, right? Looked at Google, like how you build a house. And so I know if we build it like a house, but it's much smaller, then it's going to be super solid. And also, you know, figured out all the dimensions, all the measurements for all the cuts, and had a super awesome group of people, very meticulously following my lead, and they made, honestly, it's hilarious. I say, like, this is the first time I've built anything like this. I did like very little of the actual assembly and building of the structure. It was mostly like I did put together plenty of stuff, but not near as much as the guys who were like actually putting together all the walls and, you know, putting things up. Obviously, I did help, but not near as much as these guys. They absolutely crushed it, and it's all come together really nicely. It's straight up, it's hilarious. Like all of us will like just stand back and just look at the structure, like, wow, this thing's amazing. It's like, we built this. There's something just like really, really satisfying about, you know, putting it together, a big old structure, and it all coming together nicely, and just feeling super, like, I don't know, impressed with oneself, I guess. Impressed with our team. Because it's like, this isn't what we do full time. You know, this is a every once in a while kind of thing. So we all came together and made some super cool stuff happen. And it's been stressful too, I will say that. There have definitely been times where someone, or like I was straight up, I was figuring things out as people were building things, and as soon as I would get something figured out, they would be ready to start building that part. I was like, all right, here it is. These are the measurements. These are the cuts. This is where everything is spaced, right? And then they would start on that, and I would start figuring out the next part. And it went like that over and over and over again, which it was like, okay, I gotta keep moving. It was a lot of brain work, a lot of doing math, a lot of making things make sense. And it certainly was not perfect first try. There were several times where, fortunately, the guys that I'm working with, they were very aware. They saw something that was a little out of alignment, and they would ask me and say, hey, what's going on here? And I'm like, oh man, what is going on there? And fortunately, we were able to make, you know, fairly quick, easy fixes on all these things. And with that, we've been able to make it all come together nicely. But I want to talk about that a little bit in regards to the importance of growth through stress, right? Stress is it's one of those things that can be good or bad for you, right? If you're stressed out too much, it'll tear you down, right? But if you have a manageable amount of stress, one might call it a hermetic stressor, right? It actually promotes growth. Say, for instance, when you go to the gym, you are putting stress on your muscles, right? You are purposefully doing something that is hard for your muscles to do so that they will actually break down, in small increments and then heal and grow back stronger, right? Of course, you can overdo it, and if you try and lift something too heavy, you can tear your whole muscle, right? And that takes a lot longer to heal, and it doesn't come back stronger. You have to, it'll come back. It will heal weaker, right? And so, my point being that, putting yourself under stress is good for you. You just got to make sure that it's a manageable amount. Obviously, there's a fine line for optimal growth, and if you want to grow the most possible, you're going to be pushing right up at the line of stressing yourself too hard and hurting yourself, right? For me, this build project I feel like it was the perfect amount of stress, honestly. Like I was saying earlier, I was just ahead of the assembly part of the team as far as design and more or less dimensions and designs go, right? And so I didn't have time to I couldn't stop and chill. It was like when you do a workout or you go on a run or what have you, and you are pushing yourself just about as hard as you can without hurting yourself, right? And I feel like I grew quite a bit during this experience, and I'm super happy about that. I feel very fulfilled getting through this. Obviously, we're not done with it, and so I'm not gonna say we're out of the woods yet. We still have kind of like the hardest part to do. We took care of all the framing, and now we got to put plywood on everything. And plywood's kind of finicky, especially if any of your angles are off and you have to do some, weird cuts or what have you. But, so far, so good, right? And another part of why this has been, stressful, but also good for me is that we moved into this other side of the building into a sublease, and unfortunately with a sublease you don't get any of the normal rent forgiveness type stuff that landlords will give companies to build out their business before they start charging them rent. And so right off the bat we had to pay a lot of money to get into that building, and we still have to pay rent every month, and we can't use it yet until it's built. And so switch over. Got a lot of switching today. It's also kind of a long video though. And so we are absolutely busting our butts. We are straight up working 10 hours a day, 6 days a week, right? So 60 hours. And then I'm also still doing my private lessons. Also still going out to my parents, doing some cleaning up, helping them clean up their house and whatnot. But mostly just visiting right now, because it is the one day out of the week that I'm not working at the jungle. So at the moment it's more just visiting, less cleaning. But it's a lot. It's a tremendous workload. Definitely working probably 80 hours a week. And it's not like chill in a desk 80 hours. It's all right, we're moving a bunch of heavy wood, we're lifting these big platform or these big walls up into place, we're putting a bunch of screws into framing. It's like, it's intense work. And then my private lessons as well, it's like, okay, we're doing ninja stuff, right? We're doing flips, or we're doing parkour, we're doing Ninja Warrior, we're doing Spartan race training. And so it's a huge amount of physical exertion. And fortunately, I feel like I'm conditioned pretty well and my body's handling it pretty well. Thank goodness. That conditioning is important. You gotta push yourself. You gotta work on yourself constantly to be able to keep up. I think that's just part of life. You just want to make sure that you are equipped to handle whatever life has to throw at you, because it will throw you some curveballs here and there. I listen to Jordan Peterson quite a bit, and one of the things he talks about is how the flood story in the Bible, right? Noah's Ark. It's there's a way that connects to all of us, right? We all go through floods in our lives, right? We all go through catastrophes that have the potential to seriously tear us down, even destroy us to some degree, right? And the reason that Noah survived the flood was because he built the ark, right? He did something that was very difficult. He prepared himself for the coming flood. And I feel like that's what we need to do in our lives, is prepare ourselves for the coming catastrophes in our lives, right? Obviously enjoy the good times, right? But understand that bad times are to come. And then when you're in the bad times, remember that good times are to come. And that's how you get through life, right? It's funny. I wanted to talk about, let me switch real quick. I wanted to talk a little, this is definitely a subject change, but I wanted to talk about how I am, obviously very busy, very, 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 very busy, working 6 days a week, 10 hours a day. And then I was going to go help my parents. And as I get in my truck to leave Round Rock, go up to where my parents live, about an hour north, I go to crank my truck, right? And it won't crank, right? My battery's dead. I'm like, oh man. And so I go to get out of my truck. As I grab the handle, it breaks off in my hand. I'm like, man, it was just like bam, bam, right? Like, just like the universe was just kicking me, and then kicked me while I was down. I was like, oh, wow, ouch, right? And so I was, after that, I was a little depressed that day, because I had just been working super hard, and I was going to try and help my parents with their place, and I was kind of just feeling down on myself a little bit. I was like, why, why is it that I'm working so hard and trying to do all these good things, and my truck just breaks on me like this, right? Well, so I jump start my truck and turn it off to see if it just went dead for some reason, and it wouldn't crank again. So I jump started it again. I was like, okay, my battery's dead, dead, and the alternator still works. And so I still went up to my parents. You know, I got my truck there, didn't turn it off until I got there, and then replaced the battery while I was there. But I just spent that day just visiting with them. Well, replacing my battery and just visiting. And I started thinking, you know, as one should when your truck battery dies and your car door handle pops off, you should probably think about some things. And I'm like, okay, God, what are you trying to tell me with this? What exactly is it? You know, you have to kind of have an open mind and listen, right? You gotta ask the question too. It's like, okay, let's assume that God doesn't hate you, and here, what is He trying to say, right? And so I'm like, God, what are you trying to tell me, right? And I just sat at the front of my truck looking out at the clouds for a minute, and more or less, I have the thought that He's trying to tell me, like, you need to take care of yourself, right? And the reason I say that is that, you know, I'm going above and beyond to try and help my parents, help the jungle, you know, working like easily 80, sometimes 90 hours a week, right? All this while, you know, I'm living out of my truck. Fortunately, this other side of the building is empty, and so the jungle has been gracious enough to let me sleep over there, which is super cool. Very fortunate to have a roof over my head and air conditioning and you know, a nice place to just lay out my bedroll and stretch out to some degree. But you know, I haven't really been keeping my situation super clean and squared away. I haven't been stretching enough. You know, I haven't been eating all the right foods, and I haven't been doing the things that I need to do to take care of myself, right? All while I'm like going above and beyond to help everyone else. And the lesson that I'm trying to get at is that it's very important that you take care of yourself first, right? You have to square away your own house, square away your own living situation before you try to help anyone else with theirs, right? And the reason that is, you know, if you are expending yourself trying to help everyone else and you never take care of yourself, you sacrifice yourself to try and help everyone else, at some point you're not going to be able to do it anymore, right? You're not going to be able to do all the things you're trying to do to help others, right? And so the way that it goes is you take care of yourself. You take care of your temple, right? Your temple is your body. You know, you maintain a good shape. You know, you work out, you eat good food, and you get lots of sleep. Do your recovery, all that good stuff. And then you can take care of your room, right? Make sure that your room is clean, it's tidy, your bed's made, your clothes are folded, put away, and all of your things are neatly placed and organized, right? If you wanna help people around you, you gotta start by putting structure in your own life first. And that starts with your body, starts next with your room. And if you have a house, make sure that your house is in good order, right? And then make sure your yard's in good order. And then we can start talking about, after your house, your room, your body, all of you is taken care of, then you can really start to try and help other people, right? Help your family, help your friends, you know, eventually help your community, help your city, help your country, help the world, right? But it all starts with you. You gotta take good care of yourself, right? All those things I just said, right? Eat right, work out, get lots of sleep, make sure you're stretching, right? Make sure you're consuming good content, stuff that's not trying to poison your brain and make you a zombie that's sitting there for hours scrolling through a bunch of nonsense, right? Make sure you're taking in good stuff, like taking in informational stuff, taking in content that's going to add value to your life, right? You want to get better at building, watch building videos. You want to get better at working out, watch working out videos. You want to get, I don't know, you want to get better at school, watch videos that are going to teach you how to do better at school. Just like the sky's the limit, We live in the age of information, and there's no reason why anyone who has internet access can't, access everything almost that they need to accomplish their goals, right? Like I was saying, I didn't know how to build the structure that we did, and so I looked it up. I looked up on Google how to make how to do housing framing, right? And it's all together and it's super solid, right? So make sure that you're not just wasting your time. We have a very finite time here, and it's important to make the most of it, all right? I don't know when I'll make a video again. I'm very, very busy, but I'll continue to do this, and hopefully I can do it sooner rather than later. I'm not gonna make that promise. I think it was silly of me to try and say I was gonna do this every week, but eventually I'll get to the point where I can do it every week, and hopefully twice a week, and then 3 times a week, and then so on and so forth, and then I'll be like a super serious YouTuber or whatever. But thanks y'all for watching this. Thank you to myself for making this, and I look forward to watching it in the future, and I will talk to y'all in the next one.